They said you wouldn't be bothered by a voice calling for you in the night. There would be no trail of cereal through the house, no spills or stray toys. The clock ticks, all is calm, and you realize there is still a voice. If you face the pain of an abortion, call 1-800-593-2273.
Welcome back to Love Them Both. I have Patty Becker here today. She's Executive Director of Pregnancy Resource Center. But there's a Patty Becker in your town, so you look her up under Abortion Alternatives and get the help you need. We're just talking about all the things Patty can do to help a couple, a woman who's had an abortion, a woman who's in a crisis pregnancy. All that she can do and offer that woman from soup to nuts, it's amazing. It's just amazing what you can offer these women. And we're going to go on to talk more about what her agency can do. And I really think this should grab you all. Free. Her services are free. You're not going to charge me anything if I need help?
Not at all.
Nothing if I need a crib or if I need diapers or if I need...
No. You know, we're not there to make any money on your situation. Not at all. You know, you're in a very vulnerable crisis situation that is not my place to charge you to help you in that situation. We're there because we love Jesus Christ, and we're there because He loves you. And you know what I mean? I don't remember Him charging, do you?
And I think that's why you people are so beautiful, because it's beyond the money thing. I can tell you that the abortion industry only wants money. You have to have a check or a credit card to go in there. Their services are all about money. The local Planned Parenthood here makes over $3 million a year. Over $3 million a year they make and have to get rid of because they're quote-unquote nonprofit. But all they want is your money. But your services are free.
Yeah.
I think that's the night and day of where the real help is at. You know what I mean? You're in a situation, you need help. Where's the free diapers? Where's the free cribs? Where's the free anything? They want your check and your money and, not talk to you again. But you will follow me up for a year or longer if
Absolutely,
I bug you.
Yeah. When you think about the term pro-life, a lot of people have a different image of what that means, but I think if you're going to say you're pro-life, you need to come through, and that is from start to finish. You have to prove that you're pro-family, you're pro-woman. You care about their situation from the heart, that you're not there just to make a stand on an issue, but you're there to stand with them through the issue, and that's what the difference is. We have an OBGYN, Dr. Debbie Leonard, who's our medical director. She does it for free.
Wow.
We don't pay her either. Everybody that's there, she's there to volunteer her services, to be our medical director. And we have sonographers. Now, we have paid staff. We go out and raise money. We do fundraising to keep our place and the doors open. But everything, and we always want to have those doors open and available to anybody that has to walk in that door at any time needing us, Janet.
Right. That I think is the black and white of it, that the other side wants money, and they're going to see you for those 15 minutes to get your abortion and get out of there. You don't want any money from these people, from the group, women and men who come in for help of any kind.
Right.
You don't want any money from them, and therein lies the difference. Whose motives are more honorable, if you ask me? You know what I mean? Who's really going to be a friend without give me a check?
Yeah.
Also, too, how does the ultrasound work in changing minds? Does it change? Why do you offer the woman the ultrasound? And does it change minds, Patty?
If you're abortion-minded, you should definitely get an ultrasound. I don't care where you live, whatever state. I don't care if you say, but I want that abortion. That's okay. You want the abortion and you don't want to change your mind. Do yourself a favor. Go get the ultrasound first.
I think that's worth repeating. You're saying even if I'm abortion-minded,
even if you're abortion-minded,
I should get an ultrasound.
Go get an ultrasound
why?
and look at the screen and find out the information, because ultrasound will do three things for you. Number one, it'll show you if you are pregnant. Did you take, did you have blood work done to confirm it, or did you do a urine test? Urine tests are not 100%. So for you to take a pregnancy test in your own home and then have it read positive and say, oh my gosh, this is definitely, I'm definitely pregnant, and then go right to a clinic and get an abortion doesn't make any sense, because, it could still be a false test. It may not truly show that you're pregnant.
Right.
Second thing an ultrasound will do is it'll show if you have an intrauterine viable pregnancy. In other words, Janet, is the pregnancy within the uterine walls? You know, it's not in the fallopian tubes. You know, to show if there's a heartbeat, because if it's in the fallopian tubes, that means it's ectopic and you're going to miscarry. You know, and you're going to have to go to the emergency room. So the ultrasound is a factor of possibly saving your life also, because if it is in the fallopian tubes, that's a very dangerous situation. It can show how far along you are. You know, it'll show the condition of the pregnancy. If it looks as if it is going to be stable and not be, you know, not look like it's going to miscarry. If there's a heartbeat, if there's no heartbeat, that's a whole different situation. That means you're going to miscarry. So, you know, between 10 and 31% of American women within the first trimester do naturally miscarry, Janet.
Right.
So that's why I say it should be your first step, no matter where you are on that issue.
I just think of all the women you can save from living with the guilt of an abortion forever. Not only saving her fallopian tubes or whatever for a future pregnancy, or saving her life that way, but that she wouldn't have to live with that guilt.
Absolutely.
Because if there's no heartbeat, there's
then then you're going to go a whole different road. You are going to miscarry, and you need medical attention. So the ultrasound can, you know, prevent you from an unnecessary surgery that you don't have to face, you don't have to go through. And you know, those aren't just words that I'm saying, well, maybe these women might miscarry. We've had several women that have come in and followed exactly that example that I'm talking about, and they were so relieved. It's bittersweet. I mean, on one hand they're thinking, oh my gosh.
It's still a loss, but it's not the regret of a lifetime.
Not by her hands. Not by her hands. There's a big difference. Psychologically, to lose a child that God may have called home at that moment is far different in her state of mind than her administering that act herself.
Right.
You know.
And I can tell you that as an older woman, I've had a miscarriage. I've talked to so many women who've regretted their abortions, and I've talked to so many women who've had, well, they call them spontaneous abortions, if you will, but a natural miscarriage, if you will, and the difference in the pain and the regret is out of this world. Also, too, I think that the abortion industry isn't going to give you a ultrasound because, one, they don't want you to hear a heartbeat. Two, they don't want you to see the baby, because then they'll have to give you back that $400 or $500 for that abortion, because they're only selling one product in there. So they're not going to give you that ultrasound to tell you this baby is not viable anyhow. You're going to lose this baby anyway, so get to the doctor. You don't have to live a life of regret.
No. And you know, Janet, looking at the baby, you need to look at the image, because that's a huge decision, and you don't want to be faced later on with images of a pregnancy at 5, 6, 7 weeks or 8 weeks, and then see the picture and then say, oh my gosh, I didn't even look at the screen. I didn't even take into consideration looking and seeing what was involved. That would be a tough situation, because you can never reverse that. So you're better off looking at the screen. See if even watching the baby move, watching the heartbeat. You need that information. That's only fair to you, that when you walk out of that door, hopefully you're going to go to prayer, and you're going to really weigh that decision and make a choice that's going to save a life and save your future, and save you from the trauma of an abortion. But at least you will have seen the screen and had full understanding, and not just guessed, well, I wonder what it would have looked like, or what what was going on. At least you know.
Right. And I think of the women, again, I'd like to refer to Georgette Fournier's website, silentnomoreawareness.com, of all the women who regret abortion. That you just need the information. If you're going to choose to have an abortion, you need the information, so you're not with the silent multitudes, the millions, the 40 million women who cannot talk about the trauma of their abortion, that they're doing drugs and alcohol and they're in jail because they had this abortion, and all of a sudden they're a different person. They want to be drunk all the time. They want to sleep around, whatever they turn to deal with this trauma. You need to see what you're doing. It brings to mind to me history. I love the history of the Civil War. I really get into it. And one of the things, they changed people's minds about slavery by taking them down to the slave ships and seeing what slavery looked like.